In 2016, 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick ignited a national controversy when he began to sit and then kneel during the national anthem at NFL football games as a protest against anti-black racism and police brutality.
There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change.
Dozens of players joined him in solidarity.
I stand with Cap. I kneel with Cap.
Thank you, Colin Kaepernick. Colin took action with no fear of consequence or repercussion.
But others saw it as disrespecting the flag during a solemn moment and therefore disrespecting the men and women who gave their lives for the country.
This is about respect. This is about respect for the military, for our country, for our flag.
What do I think? I think it's really dumb of them. Would I arrest them for doing it? No. I think it's dumb and disrespectful. I would have the same answer if you asked me about flag burning.
This controversy is one of the most salient examples of American civil religion, treating the American flag as a sacred symbol. If you remember from episode 1 of the series, we can define American civil religion following Clifford Geertz's definition: a system of symbols that produces moods, like patriotism, that give our lives order and meaning. American civil religion is the story America tells about itself. It's when Americans are religious about America. The NFL protest controversy reveals a relationship between patriotism and religion. Americans are big on patriotic rituals, holding our hand over our hearts, removing our hats during the anthem, fireworks to honor our nation's birth, and parades to honor our soldiers. And though we might call these rituals secular, they share a lot in common with stereotypically religious rituals, behaviors that are marked by established actions oriented towards particular sacred symbols. The NFL controversy focuses attention on a specific sacred symbol, the moods it produces, the established rituals on how to honor that symbol, and the competing meanings that we impute on that symbol. I'm not being revolutionary here, equating a flag with a sacred religious symbol. The sociologist Emile Durkheim, one of the founders of religious studies, argued that national flags are a modern example of totemism. According to his theory, a totem is an object, plant, or animal that reflects society or the collective. A symbol so powerful that soldiers will die for it even though it's just a piece of fabric. The scholar of religion Benjamin Zeller argues that we can think of the American flag as the totemic symbol of America, a symbol that represents the nation state as a sacred entity and becomes the focal point for the nation's self-worship. By kneeling during this ritual, Kaepernick was challenging a collective narrative underlying the flag.
This country stands for freedom, liberty, justice for all. And it's not happening for all right now.
But first, a bit of background. The US flag wasn't always seen as a sacred symbol. Like the motto, "In God We Trust," the sanctity of the flag has a history, and the Supreme Court played a major role in sanctifying it. In Texas v. Johnson, the Supreme Court ruled that harming or desecrating the flag is protected speech. But notice how the justices described the flag. All 9 justices recognized that the flag is some kind of visible symbol embodying our nation, and millions of Americans regard it with an almost mystical reverence. Those are the Supreme Court's words, not mine. In other words, the flag is a sacred enough symbol that it could be profaned or made less sacred by how we care for it. The difference between the 5 justices that voted to permit the burning of the American flag and the 4 who opposed it is that, as Justice Kennedy put it, the flag protects those who hold it in contempt. In other words, the power of the symbol endures no matter what one person does to it. Civic rituals involving the flag played a bigger and bigger role in American public life throughout the country's history. After the Civil War, school flag ceremonies became a way to prove your Americanness for new waves of immigrants coming into the country. One guy, a nativist anti-Catholic advocate and Civil War vet named George Balch, developed an early form of the Pledge of Allegiance as a way for immigrants to integrate into the United States. though his arguments for implementing these flag rituals were pretty racist. In his book Methods of Teaching Patriotism in Public Schools, published in 1890, Balch called immigrants human scum cast on our shores by the tidal wave of a vast immigration, and he argued that they needed patriotic education in order to civilize them. And what better place to assimilate children than in school? He argued that patriotic rituals advanced integration, and the American flag should be the national icon as the subject of those rituals. Students were called on to stand and recite an early form of the Pledge of Allegiance towards the flag, a ritual that millions of school children continue to this day. As we noted in the previous episode, the words "under God" were added to the pledge in the 1950s at about the same time that "In God We Trust" was added to our currency and became our nation's motto. All of these reflect American civil religious piety. Public performances like the Pledge of Allegiance were civil rituals that performed the ideal Americanness. So when today we see the American flag on t-shirts, we can ask, what happened to the sacred power of the flag? How can burning a flag be a desecration, or kneeling during the anthem be disrespectful when we can wear the flag as underwear? We're seeing competing narratives over the same sacred symbol. Kaepernick saw the flag and thought of injustices against Black Americans. He knelt to mark the difference between what the symbol meant for him at that moment and the many other things people can think about during that anthem. Others look at the same symbol and think of loved ones who had lost their lives in military service. Still others followed in the footsteps of George Balch, using the controversy as an opportunity to express racism, or to denigrate Kaepernick's Americanness, or to dismiss the lived reality of Black Americans. Part of the reason Kaepernick was noticed in the first place was that he violated the expected ritual, highlighting this disconnect between his interpretation of the symbol's meaning and others' interpretations. It's all about performance of piety and conforming to unspoken expectations and rules. Expectations and rules that are disproportionately enforced. This gets us back to one of the more confusing elements of American civil religion, looking through the lens of Geertz, that our symbols seem uniquely real and always already known. The fact that different people can see Kaepernick's kneeling as either patriotic or unpatriotic suggests that each side assumes the other can see the reality of what they know about the flag. When people make claims about American identity and what the nation really stands for, they're participating in a larger project of what makes America, America. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.